Hello and welcome to another episode of Laptop Retrospective. This is Think Design Stories. In this series, we will be going behind the scenes on one of the most iconic laptop brands ever conceived and is still going strong. Luis Hernandez retired from Lenovo in January of 2024, and he was the leader of Lenovo's Commercial Product Solutions development team. He had an overall responsibility for the development of PC and cloud-ready devices, which included ThinkPad and education PCs, workstation PCs such as ThinkStation and the ThinkPad P series, smart office solutions such as ThinkSmart, OEM devices, and strategic innovation like the X1 Fold, the first foldable PC in the industry. He oversaw over 900 engineers across the development labs in China, Japan, and the United States. Prior to this, he was the vice president of the product group, PC, and Smart Solutions Development, responsible for developing Lenovo consumer SMB and commercial PCs. Luis joined Lenovo during the merge of IBM PC and Lenovo Group in 2005. During 2005 to 2016, Luis held several technical and business executive positions. In 2005, he was one of the first Lenovo leaders to integrate engineering organizations in the global supply chain. In 2010, he established ThinkPad Edge business unit, focused on small businesses while on the international assignment in Beijing. He also took Lenovo laptop SMB market share from number 4 to number 1 in a span of 2 years. Later in 2013, he became leader of the ThinkPad development team, and in 2014, he became vice president and general manager of the ThinkPad business. He had overall responsibility for the iconic ThinkPad product line for 2 years, and most notably in 2015, he led the expansion of the X1 family and celebrated the shipment of the 100th million ThinkPad. In addition to the day-to-day responsibilities of business, Luis was instrumental in driving innovation and bringing change into the organization. His career started in 1987 with IBM PC Group in Boca Raton, Florida. He worked with IBM for 18 years with numerous management and engineering positions. From 1987 to 1997, he held several engineering positions in VLSI and PC system development during the initial boom of the PC industry. From 1997 to 2005, Luis held several management positions in PC system development, PC mechanical, DSP modem, software tools, and quality for IBM PC products. Luis graduated from the University of Notre Dame with a BS in electrical engineering and received an MBA from the Fuqua School of Business at Duke University. He was awarded 5 U.S. patents, has written several technical reports and disclosures related to PC technology, and was appointed Senior Technical Staff Member in 2004. Luis is married and lives in Cary, North Carolina since 1995 with his wife Kristen and 3 daughters. He is a retired lieutenant colonel from the United States Army Reserve and a veteran of the Iraq and Afghanistan campaigns. He is a board member of several charitable organizations, which include St. Michael's Honduras Sister Parish Mission, the Cramden Institute, the Cristo Rey Triangle High School, and the Emily K. Center in Durham, North Carolina. Please welcome Luis Hernandez. You've obviously, over your career with both IBM and Lenovo, you've had the opportunity to work on a variety of different products, product lines, devices. What I'm curious is, are there a handful of devices that you look back and say, I'm pretty proud that I worked on that product or that product line, and I'm just wondering what those might be and why.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, every product that I worked on, I'm very proud of. But I'll give you a couple of examples. I was leading the product development team for Lenovo for 3.5 years. So I had all the product lines: consumer, SMB, and commercial. And so I was fortunate to work on the yoga design. As you know, Lenovo invented the yoga, the 360 hinge, the
Mhm.
2-in-1, if you want to call it. And I remember we had a really nice hinge, and we were deciding to move to the next hinge, which we wanted to give it purpose.
Mhm.
And it was not an easy decision, convincing product marketing and a few others, right? And also the engineering challenges that came with it. So we said, okay, if we're going to do another hinge, it needs to be uh, meaningful, something that the customer not only look at appearance, but can we do something that people can feel why that hinge changed? And that's
Mhm.
when we decided to put speakers on it, and there was a
Okay.
purpose. It's not just antennas, but because a lot of people put antennas in the hinges, obviously.
Mhm.
But we decided, okay, let's put speakers on it so we can enhance the audio experience of the consumer, because we knew that audio was becoming more relevant, more important for users in the PC, in the notebook. It didn't used to be before, but as the notebook evolved, it was very important. So that was a challenge of making sure we convince, obviously, the people that uh, in product marketing that felt comfortable with the original hinge design, and also the challenges that come with having the right technologies to implement speakers inside a very small space.
Mhm.
So we were able to do it, and it came out and very well recognized by the industry, and that became a new yoga kind of premium device, and a new way of enhancing audio in all the modes of yoga. So I was very proud of how the team executed, collaborated with all the teams to be able to make that difficult change and enhance the overall experience to the user. On the other devices, I had also all the commercial products. For example, ThinkStation,
Mhm.
the workstations that we do. We just did a complete redesign of the products that are just fantastic. And I know the team did a great job of not just, as you know, performance is king in the workstation.
Mhm.
That's what product management team, always keeps saying. So being able to drive, incredible performance and a mechanical that looks good for a workstation, and
Mhm.
also has the flexibility of changing things, because as you know, users in the workstation segment wants to be able to change memory, change cards, and be able to have that flexibility with. So we built a whole new set of desktop products that have all that, and I believe our leadership in the industry. So that, to me, that's another set of products that I think at the end of the day continues to drive that mentality of listening to the customer and how we make those problems into a product. Um, so the other one is smart collaboration, which we got into a few years back, where we had to design one of our first smart collaboration devices. As soon as we saw Teams continue to grow, and early on, and it was Skype at the beginning, we knew that digital collaboration was going to be essential.
Mhm.
So we created a small group to develop obviously a smart device, an appliance that will run Teams and Zoom. And that's another set of products that, again, very difficult to do, because conferences rooms are different sizes, there are different structures on the walls, glass. All that affects the audio, and more importantly, the voice, the mics, and how
Mhm.
you deal with those algorithms. So that set of products also, I think, was very important, because it's revolutionary, and is making the conference room digital, smarter in that sense, right? And I think that that's going to continue to explode. And so the Think Smart Hub Generation 1 was one of the other products that I was very proud of.
I just want to write down that product name, because that's something that yeah, it is absolutely important, and it's gotten more important. And
Mhm.
obviously the pandemic happened, which
Mhm.
raised everything temporarily. But then people were like, wait a minute, if we can do this now, why don't we just keep doing it? And I think for
Mhm.
a lot of people, they see the value in those solutions. It's fascinating sometimes when we're forced to do things that we have no
Mhm.
choice in, and it's like, huh, this isn't actually too bad.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
no, that's great. So three really distinct and excellent products or product lines that you're particularly proud of. The next question is, what are some things that were like, real challenges maybe? And they could just be straight up challenges that, you were like, we tried this and it didn't work, but there was a lot of growth, a lot of learning. Or maybe it was challenging in the rewarding sense where, you were working on something for quite a while and you're like, we are going to get to the other side of this and it's going to be great. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to give you the opportunity if there was anything that kind of fell into that category that you've worked on over your career that you wanted to share.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you the X1 family has been one of those products that is being wonderful to work with because it's challenging but very rewarding because you can see people accepting that line because of the sales that we're making in the premium. When we started the X1 Carbon, and previous to that was the X1,
Hmm.
previous to that. The idea was we're doing great with TX, R, E, but we needed to create a more premium ThinkPad that will go after new technologies, make it the thinnest, the lightest, but great performance, and be able to also drive a more modern design at the same time, uh, and be able to say, okay, will people go and buy that kind of product in the commercial segment? Uh, and lo and behold, the first product line, came out, and it was modest, but then we learned from it, and then we built the second generation, and now we start seeing the traction
Mm.
that people like the combination of having a good looking design, great quality, thin and light, 14-inch screen, which the first one was a 13.3, but the second one we did a 14-inch screen, and the new technologies that allow people to be more efficient. For example, when we started doing the first OLED panel was done
Hmm.
on X1 with that we collaborated with Samsung. And so that product really hit with everyone, and we saw it. Not everyone, the premium segment, right? But everyone agreed that was a great product. So then we started figuring out how can we continue to make it better and steer again how we can continue to maintain the core and value proposition of it. Because if you make it thinner and lighter, it becomes harder to make sure that can I sustain the durability that ThinkPad is well known of. That's why the carbon, right? We use the X1, we use the carbon in the A cover because it's lighter, it's strong, and allows to be able to drive durability, the durability message. So as we started having success, then one of the things that we discussed was, should we expand it? What do we do next to beat the previous one? That's when we started thinking about, okay, and the convertibles was becoming a very important form factor for a segment of the market. And Jerry Paradise and I were talking back and forth, working with the teams and the customers. Okay, what do we do next? And then we decided to do the X1 Carbon clamshell to become the thinnest and lightest 14-inch, but then do a convertible, which was the X1 Yoga. So we expanded the line, which then we did the X1 tablet.
Hmm.
And we found that was very successful. Now, was it challenging? Of course. I mean, I remember the X1 Yoga. One of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that we drive a great experience as you convert it to tablet, and that's when we did the lift unlock keyboards.
Yes. Yeah.
And initially, and that was done in another product, by the way. That was done in a ThinkPad Yoga 260. But the X1 Carbon really took it to that next level. And I mean, the X1 Yoga, and we did it for a few generations to make people comfortable when they put it in tablet mode. But it has a lot of challenges on how you drive that keyboard down and keep the quality. So the X1 line drives the new technology, but we need to make sure that we do it with great quality and reliability because the customers are expecting that. And doing that on brand new technology is not an easy task. So you can imagine that we put a lot of effort, or we put a lot of good talent to make those choices. So the X1 Carbon, X1 Yoga, which is X2, X1 2-in-1 now, continue to evolve throughout the years, and now one is at the 12th generation, right? X1 Carbon. And then the X1 2-in-1, I think it's the 9th. And then we continue to expand that line carefully, right? And X1 Fold became the next big one when we did it in 2020 on the 13, and now we expanded to the 16. Those require engineering challenges on how you control the thermals, how you drive the performance, but maintain it cool and quiet most of the time so people can have a great experience. Those challenges were always very difficult to balance between all those combinations. At the end of the day, these are general purpose machines that you run a lot of software on it, and be able to maintain that kind of balance is not an easy. But you saw the new X1 Carbon Generation 12, where we had a new fan design, dual design with a new way of driving the cooling in the bag that allow us to keep really, really cool most of the time, pretty much all in all applications, and allow us to increase the performance to 25 watts instead of 21 watts that we did last year. A lot of effort was focused on that fan design and how we make sure that we drive the air, around the different components inside, to keep the machine. And I'm using it right now talking to you. So again, that's why this line is so challenging but rewarding, because as you see those new implementations, you see people accepting them, and people being able to say, yes, I like the product. But once in a while you make some misfires and you have to correct them. So I don't know if you remember when we did the 5-button click pad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A few years back, it was a good intention, but because we wanted to give more space to people, but we know we didn't implement it right. When it came out, people didn't like it, so we quickly in a year went back to the track point, and we didn't find the right technology to give that option back until now. And as you know, the X1 Carbon Generation 12 has an option for those people that want to have a bigger pad size to have the force pad, which I'm using right now, and I'm a track point user. Now we're able to very closely replicate the force of a force pad with a regular mechanical button, and the accuracy of being able to do that properly. So the experience for those people that use track point and a button becomes almost the same. Is it exact? No, but it's almost the same. And I'm using it, and I feel very happy with it. So again, those are technologies that we have now and we didn't have before, and when to introduce it so you don't disappoint users is key. And so we felt very comfortable, and now we're providing options, and now we have a much bigger pad in the X1 Carbon that we have with the regular buttons. And the people that want buttons, mechanical buttons, still have the option to do that. So I think the X1 line is a perfect example of how you can continue to push technology, but making sure that you provide and continue to provide the best experience, so you don't disappoint people with the core values that you provide.
Yeah, No, I agree. Like the X1 Carbon Gen 12 is definitely piqued my interest for a lot of the reasons that you've already brought up. I've been daily driving the X1 Nano Gen 1 since
Mm,
that came out, and that that was an interesting product as well because it was one of the thinnest and lightest laptops that you could get at the time, let alone ThinkPad.
mhm,
And a lot of and it also had a beautiful screen in it as
mhm,
standard. And that was
mhm,
actually what made the decision for me because I was thinking, oh, do I go a T series? Do I do an X1 Carbon? And then I saw this, beautiful meet in the middle, 2.8K, 100%
mhm,
color accurate panel, thin and light laptop. And I was like, oh, that looks really good. And then there was a lot of discussion with people that I know and also online. And it's like, but it's only got two USB Type C ports. You'll be living, out of your bag with dongles your entire time using the laptop. And it's like, well, maybe, but let's give it a try.
mhm.
And, do I have a dongle in my travel kit? Yeah. Does it get used every day? Does it get used every week? The answer is no. So, like, if like that, I think that was like one of those perfect timing things that you were talking about earlier. It's like, well, when are we ready to roll out something that's so thin that only has ports that are this tall and
Yeah.
have it be successful for the consumer? And that was one of those eye-opening moments. And yeah, your discussion of the force pad too, having the opportunity to try that out on the X1 Fold production sample that I had, and
First.
being a track point user myself, um, that was really really cool. But I also understand that unless you've used that physical pad, you may not necessarily have the confidence that some of the what I'll refer to as the old guard will that want those physical buttons. So having both as an option, I think, is a brilliant move because you'll have people that are like, willing to try the force pad or, don't consider the need for the buttons at the top when they're doing their purchasing. And I think getting that tech out there is going to give customers, as we've talked about, an opportunity to provide a lot of feedback on how to make that experience better.
Yeah, my wife uses an X1 Nano. She loves it. She loves the size, the light, and she doesn't mind about the ports because she doesn't use the ports that much.
Hmm.
She doesn't need to present in conference rooms that much or anything like that. So to her, that's not a key requirement. And so, I think that product sits well for people that want to, like you said, light, don't need that many ports, but it's a beautiful design and it's a beautiful screen. So for my wife, it's perfect. For somebody like me that had conference, presentations and so forth, perhaps the 14-inch X1 Yoga, which is one of my favorite devices, or X1 Carbon, makes more sense because we are able to keep the ports, but
Hmm.
make it, in a nice way. And as like we shown in the X1 Carbon, we were able to improve the ratio of the panel to body to be really narrow, but still maintain all the key ports of HDMI, USB-A, and USB-C. So it's all a challenge on how you do trade-offs
Hmm.
around the different requirements. But again, making sure that we satisfy that customer, which they're very different. And we're happy to try to meet there so we can get more people, into the ThinkPad, bandwagon. Um, I wish more people use the track point. I think a track point is a great pointer. And I think if you use it for a couple of weeks, you realize how useful it can be.
Hmm.
And that's why you still have quite a few people using it. But there's no question that the pad is very important. And
Hmm.
that's what we want to provide a better experience, and having a bigger pad for a lot of the people that buy our products is very important. So we want to provide that option to them so they can have a great experience also.